And in related news, flags seem to be the issue of the week. And now, a new controversial bill that aims to outlaw display of enemy flags at universities and state-funded institutions will be brought to the Knesset for a vote this week. Joining us to discuss is Dror Yemini, veteran Israeli journalist, attorney, and author. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So just last week, you were here on the show discussing the Palestinian protest on Ben Gurion University, which saw students wave the Palestinian flag. Is this incident at Ben Gurion what prompted this proposed legislation?
Yeah, partly, at least partly, because we do know that it's not a flag in order to express something which is positive. I mean, these flags, when they are waving it, it's actually when they are also shouting, for example, for the days of Israel, when they feel that they are much closer to Muhammad Def, who is an arch-terrorist from Gaza, and so on, which means that the whole story of this waving the Palestinian flag is something very provocative. And when they even mark the Nakba, it's not because of the Nakba, it's because they could not destroy Israel. And yes, they were defeated, and we cannot apologize because what they wanted to do is annihilation of the just-born state of Israel. So the whole story is that the flags represent radicalization among Arabs. It's not that all the Israeli Arabs are waving the flags, but we are speaking about, I don't know how many, a minority of between 10 to 15% that prefer to provoke. And what do we need? Do we need to empower them, or that we need to empower those who do not wave the flags, who want to integrate to the Israeli society? And I think that the answer is clear. We should support the majority and not the provocative minority.
But, where do we draw the line? I mean, is this the right course of action for the government to get involved in what can and cannot happen on university campuses?
It's a very good question, but we are speaking about process. I mean, generally speaking, do we need this kind of legislation? No, we do not need. We do not need. Let them express whatever they want, as long as it's not something which is against the very existence of the country. But it changed. It changed because of the radicalization. It changed because of some, not all, but some Arab leaders and their declarations, anti-Zionist declaration against the very existence of Israel, somehow in one way or another sympathizing with terrorists. So it should be stopped. It should be stopped, because otherwise the price that we will all pay, Arabs and Jews, in 1 year will be much higher. So we don't want it. We want to prevent it. And not because we want to provoke the Arabs, the opposite, because we want to end the provocation, because we need peace. We need a kind of coexistence. We have 20% of Arab citizens. So the best way will be to oppress the radicals and to empower the moderates.
And yet, universities, the heads of universities, they advocate for free speech. And they even called on the government not to get involved on campus affairs, asking to be free of politics. I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
First of all, if they say it, let's begin to and see what the professors in some universities, not all the professors, but some post-Zionist and anti-Zionist professors teach in their classes. I mean, sometimes it's unbelievable. They give justifications to terror. Some of them sympathize or support actually the BDS. So you want to disconnect between politics and research? Let's do it. And you should begin. And you should begin with your faculties who support BDS or anti-Israeli campaigns. So to say it just when we see this kind of flags, come come on, don't be hypocrites. If you want to begin with your own university and with your own syllabus, and in order to stop the radicalization.
Now, going back to the proposed legislation, I mean, what does it actually entail?
The meaning is that every institution which is funded by the Israeli government will not allow to wave the Palestinian flag. It doesn't mean that, generally speaking, they cannot demonstrate with the flags, but not inside any institution which is funded by the government. I think it makes sense. It's that from one hand, we don't say that the flag, I mean, you cannot in any place march with this flag, but from the other hand, if it's an official institution, and don't do it.
All right, well, we will follow to see what happens when this bill goes to the Knesset. Ben Dror Yemini, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
ILTV Plus, your news from Israel and more 24/7. Start your free trial today. Subscribe at iltv.tv and watch from any device.